Content warning, y'all. We have lots of fun making this podcast, but remember, we watch a lot of R-rated films, use language that reflects that, and joke about heavy topics to create levity around these themes. If that doesn't feel safe or could be triggering, please take care of yourself. We want you to have fun listening too. This also means we might not be suitable for children. Oh yeah, and we spoil the end of all the movies we pod about. Thanks for listening.
Cantabin Asi.
Oh.
Yo.
Hold up. I meant to.
Welcome.
Hi. This is
to the show.
This is a podcast.
Oh God! Why, don't remind everybody of that.
This is a podcast about movies. Sorry.
You're making it worse.
I know. Okay.
This is the worst cast.
I had to stop reading trivia at some point because there were just so many talking about how Robin Williams improvised during the set. And there's 163 entries. And there's just...
No, for real?
I'm not even joking.
Oh, boy.
Okay. I would like to read you some trivia. There are so many, like... Literally, it's half of the trivia that I could get through. I had to scroll. It's just like talking about how much Robin Williams improvised during the making of this film, as if we didn't fucking know that already. Okay.
It seemed pretty highly scripted to me.
Right? Apparently, there's a rated R version.
I saw there was some controversy in the UK because it originally got a 12 rating, which meant no one under 12 was allowed to see it allowed in. And then everybody was pissed off about it.
That's interesting. Let's see. I'm trying to find the Pacific. Just so I can make sure that I'm getting the trivia correct. The scene where Sally Field has a cappuccino mustache was put in the film because Sally Field on set got a cappuccino mustache and they wanted to put it in
Oh
the
my
film.
God, it's like the three-legged dog. Oh, we haven't got
We
there
haven't
yet.
gotten
Never
there
mind.
yet. Spoiler.
Never mind.
Oh my God.
Wait, it didn't say what, so
It's true.
Safe.
It's true. No one will... Okay, here we go. I thought there was going to be quotation marks, so anyway, whatever. The actor playing the bartender in the pool scene is credited as Dr. Toad, but his real name is Robert Todd Williams, the half-brother of Robin Williams.
Oh, shit, yes. Thank you.
Oh God, I gotta find...
He's a real Brian Doyle Murray. Am I right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When Anne Fine was approached to make a movie out of her novel, her original choice for the lead role was Warren Beatty.
Sure.
Because of Beatty's reputation as a great womanizer, she thought it would be hysterical to see him dress up and pretend to be a woman. That's some boomer. Like, you know what would be great is to make an absolute misogynistic pig act like a woman. Zing! You got him.
Here's a common conception about womanizers. Mm-hmm. Is they're misogynist. Clearly they're doing something right.
They love women. That's what it is. Oh God. I have to find this trivia because this is
Have to.
It's true. Oh, this is a great one. Tyler Perry got the inspiration for Medea from Mrs. Doubtfire, including Medea's famous catchphrase, "Hello." The scene in the kitchen where Robin Williams as Mrs. Doubtfire says hello to Mrs. Salner is what sparked the idea for hello.
Any sources cited for that?
It's IMDb. They don't believe in sourcing anything.
The water's boiling. Hello!
And also, it's like Tim Allen was the first choice for Mrs. Doubtfire, with this intending to be his debut theatrical feature as a leading man. He turned it down, being unsatisfied with the script as well as schedule conflicts with Home Improvement. He later debuted in the successful film The Santa Claus the following year. Okay, this is my kind of trivia. This is the perfect example of IMDb trivia. Lisa Jacob, Matthew Lawrence, and Mara Wilson were chosen to play the Hillard siblings because Chris Columbus needed to find a child and 2 teens who physically resembled Robin Williams and Sally Field.
I mean, I had very few notes about this movie already because it's a perfect film.
Exactly.
But I think we should end it right there. That's a good episode.
There's one interesting spoiler trivia. The producers fired the original screenwriter because of an unhappy ending where the parents do not get back together. After several rewrites with a different happy ending, they realized that the original ending was in fact better because they did not want to create the illusion that divorced parents will eventually get back together. They rehired the original writer and went back to the original ending. Can you imagine if they got back together in the end? Like, after all of that, they were like, you know what?
Oh, I can because...
Well, okay.
Lots of movies do that, I feel like.
Oh, fuck. So do you know who Mara Wilson is as an adult, like her Twitter presence and all that stuff? No. Do you know?
Is she was the little kid?
Yes,
Littlest?
The littlest. She has a very famous cousin.
Okay.
Who believes that if women get wet, something's wrong with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro is her cousin.
Oh,
they reportedly do not talk. Don't get along. She's like very leftist, so.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I also heard that, okay, so I had not, at this late date, read any trivia.
Yeah.
And so Z barred me because of Dr. Toad.
I really wanted to deliver the Dr. Toad.
But I did read the Wikipedia article.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And read about the 20-year saga of them trying to do a sequel.
Yes. Oh my God. Bonnie Hunt was supposed to write it.
Yeah, she was the first one to start developing a sequel.
My boo, Bonnie Hunt.
Yeah. Boo Bonnie. And now it may be back on, but
he died, so.
Well, yes, but even since then,
that was another spoiler. It was like
Robin Williams is dead.
It was like maybe it wasn't a spoiler, but it was like another trivia is what I meant. It was like, it said like how Bonnie Hunt was supposed to write it. Like they weren't happy. They were going back and forth. The production got canned, and then it got like greenlit again. And then Robin Williams died a couple months later. Never mind. I was gonna make a joke.
You were trying to do a bit?
I was gonna do a bit. Just for a second, but I changed my mind. But Robin Williams died, and so, he's not. They were like, so the production got canceled. They were like, no one has replaced him. And I'm like, okay.
No one stepped up.
Yeah, like what?
Fucking pussies.
I was like, what the fuck? I was gonna make the joke that a couple months later Robin Williams died, and then I was gonna quip, probably because he really didn't want to do a sequel to Mrs. Doubtfire. But then I was like, maybe that's not funny. Has it been long enough?
2014. It's wild.
I know. I
That's-
remember I was working at a bank and everyone was like,
Which bank?
LOL. Everyone was very devastated. They were like, they were like, I think it had been like a year.
I heard that Bruce Willis died 6 minutes ago. That same thing showed up in a different group that I'm in.
It's amazing.
That also has been
Just
inactive for
yeah.
years.
Love it. It's amazing. Also, I really do enjoy when people's accounts get hacked or like they're, and it's so amazing. It's so amazing. Someone tried to add me on Facebook last night and I looked at their Facebook and it was like, who wants to let me tell them how like amazing God is? And I was like, well, I will not be accepting this friend request.
Who is signing up for that?
Right? Exactly. Like, that's okay. Yeah, this is a movie that I watched
I just want to say this. I want to get this out of the way. When white girls use the N-word, that is a red flag. Pump the brakes, you know what I'm saying? Hoo-hoo!
God damn it. That doesn't happen in this movie. Just if you haven't seen it, Keith is making a joke about Facebook. Just to be very clear. No, I used to watch this movie all the time as a kid. I watched this movie so fucking much as a kid. I rewatched it like 2-ish years ago, like around the beginning, like the first year of the pandemic when we thought it was actually going to end. Or we thought maybe in a couple years it would end. And, here we are 3 years later. And
It's done.
yeah. And no one's getting COVID anymore, and it's completely unheard of. And we don't even need to get vaccinated anymore because we've cured it. So, by the way, that's a joke.
Well, but I did discover earlier today that you can break up chemtrails and chem clouds by spraying vinegar.
Oh, fuck yeah. You sent me that, and I refused to click the link. Just because I wasn't in a place to handle that kind of humor.
Never in a place to handle the
It's
links
true.
I send you.
It's true. I'm never in the mood to handle a 10-minute video on YouTube about chemtrails.
You got to do the research, man. Don't take my word for it.
But I rewatched it like a
I
couple.
can teach you to fish, but I can't feed you a fish. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, but can you teach me to feed someone a fish?
I can turn a loaf into a pinched loaf. Miracle.
I don't like you at all. Like, so much of everything you say is...
I hate so much of the things you like.
God.
My favorite sort of trivia
Yeah.
that I didn't know, second highest grossing movie of 1993, behind
Second only to
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. Yeah, but
A little underdog of a movie.
Right. I rewatched this a few years back, or a couple years back. I don't know how long ago. And I was like horrified. I was like, this is a horrifying movie. This is so, like, I don't even know. But then when we watched it again last night, I was like, I had not retained any of the absolute filthy jokes that were in the. I'm like, oh my
that are
God.
improvised.
Yeah. Here's
O'Reilly.
no. Okay, this is I just because I need to actually remember the line itself and
Wait, hang on. In 1991, when I was attending the California State Summer School of the Arts, there was a performance by Gaylord Mowry, piano player and composer, and he did a piece. I don't remember which piece it was, but it ended. And it was silent for at least a couple beats, and then he finally said, "You can applaud now."
Oh, man. Okay. It says Daniel, but it means Robin Williams. Daniel manages to slip in a dirty joke during all his makeup tests. When dressed as the old Jewish woman, he says,
"Oi, it was such a shanda. I should never buy gribenes from a Mohel. It's so chewy."
Gribenes is a fried chicken skin, while a Mohel performs circumcisions, making gribenes a reference to foreskin. And I'm like, wow.
That's good.
First of all, that's what he says, because I'm always like, what the fuck does he say there? But that's
I wasn't sure if it was nonsense, fake Yiddish, or
yeah.
I thought I knew that Mohel was a real word.
Yeah.
What a filthy joke.
But when he's going off to fucking Pierce Brosnan at the end, when he's just talking about, and he's like,
Bit of a going down payment, huh?
Excuse me?
Oh, no, dear. Sink the sub. Hide the weasel, park the porpoise. Bit of the old Humpty Dumpty. Little Jack Horny. The horizontal mambo.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
The bone dancer. Rumple foreskin. Baloney bop. Bit of the old cunning linguistics.
Mrs. Doubtfire, please.
he says rumple foreskin.
Yeah.
I remember rumple foreskin, and I knew that was a dirty joke, and I was like,
Ooh, rump
don't.
of smooth skin.
Yeah, I was like, don't laugh, because you'll get in trouble. I was like, I think I asked my mom, like, what's that mean? And she was like, it's a dirty joke. And I was like, what's...
Mom, ass.
Yeah, Mom, rumple foreskin. And like, yeah, it was one of those that I thought was funny because I knew it was a dirty joke, but I didn't really get the joke, which there isn't a joke there. It's just an excuse to say foreskin, really, you know?
Yeah.
Which those kinds of jokes as a
It's somewhat
kid,
a pun.
yeah,
I guess,
those kinds of like
technically.
jokes confused me as a kid because I was like, I know it, like I thought that there was more layers to
Right.
it often than there actually were, and I was like, oh man, I wish I was smart enough to get this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a kid and you get it, it probably means it, and you're a kid, you get it, and you're like, I don't get what's funny. No, you got the joke. It's not funny. But he says cunning linguist, and that's one that I definitely did not pick up or remember until last night. Cunning linguist. Such a
If you seek Amy.
what?
If you seek.
I thought you said
next
it,
Tuesday.
I thought you said something about gamey, like talking about like
Gay.
it's gamey.
Talking about gay meat.
No, like how you something has a lot of flavor. It's gamey or whatever, or something. I thought you were talking about stank puss.
Interesting.
But you said if you seek Amy, which is not gamey at all.
Honestly, the most shocking thing about finally my first viewing, as
Yeah.
we've established, is that her first name is Euphigenia? What the fuck?
Yeah.
That he had in the barrel? He had the Kaiser Soze and look around the room to come up with Doubtfire.
Well, to be fair, he said, "My name's Doubtfire, Mrs. Doubtfire," and then when he showed
I know,
up on
some
their
time
doorstep,
passes, but fucking A.
it's true.
I've never heard that name in my life.
I've heard it only because I've seen this movie 700 times. This is another one where why was I allowed to watch this?
Why was this allowed to be made?
I know. Like Sally Fields is so God, the part where she's like the whole time. It's so fucking good. And then when she's just like she's getting so upset, she's like, I have to go. I have to leave.
Daniel! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! The whole time you were... The whole time!
Oh, I'm sorry, Miranda. Please.
Don't talk to me! Don't touch me! Don't touch me! I have to go. We have to leave now. I have to leave. We have to leave now. I have to go. We're going.
Yeah,
And I'm
it's
like,
really good.
oh my God. Like I love
Also,
her so much.
honestly, at the very beginning when he's like, we love each other, and she's just like,
Yeah, uh-huh.
that really...
Yeah. I know. I love it because I'm like, I like Sally Fields is. I mean, I grew up with like my household is a Sally Fields.
You stan?
Yeah, we stan in the Snyder household. We stan Sally Fields. And so her being, you know, in this, like, thinking about it as an adult, I'm like, wow, she was in this ridiculous comedy. But here's something. So obviously Robin Williams, if you didn't know, improvised a lot on this movie. But supposedly, according to IMDb, which, you know, Great Assault or whatever, he did...
I heard Great Assault.
That too. I mean, that's what it feels like to read IMDb trivia. Robin Williams would do 2 takes that were just like by the book, like
One for them, one for him.
scripted, and then they would just do takes until Robin Williams got it out of his basically. He was allowed, but they would do 2 takes by the script, and I'm like, wow, that's really what amazed me, because I'm like, Sally Fields is such a like well-known actor, you know, has she's won Oscars, she's you know, such a serious actor,
Mother
and the fact
Forrest
that
Gump.
and the fact that she's like
Girl midget, spanning decades. What?
You're ridiculous.
I'm just naming. She's been around forever.
I know.
Such a wide range of.
Just let me finish a thought before you interrupt it to argue with me about it.
I'm supporting your previous thought still.
So I just mean, like, a lot of times you hear stories of like actors like that, like having no patience or time for like someone's improvisation, and the fact that like she worked with him, and I feel like they do. I mean, okay, I don't want to say they have good chemistry, because the idea of them as a married couple was never made any sense to me. Absolutely. Also, Pierce Brosnan was supposed to be a villain. His character in the movie was supposed to be like absolutely like trash and like wanted to ship the kids off to military school, but when they cast Pierce Brosnan, they were like, let's change it and make him really nice because Pierce Brosnan in school. Yeah.
I feel like he was a decent actor for a little minute, and then
Pierce Brosnan
kind of. No, I mean, like, he's fine in this. Turns out I have a soft spot for Dante's Peak.
Yeah, for sure.
In which he's fine. I mean, he's not, you know, it's not like mind-blowing performance. You know, it's not that neither of these films have space for that. You know what I mean? But it's solid, you know, it works.
Yeah.
But then we watched, what was it, Bag of Bones? And I was like, oof. I mean, I know it's like not a great script, probably.
Yeah, it was also poorly written, badly done, and was nothing like the the Stephen King story, and was just so shitty. Well, it was a little bit like
Speaking of standing.
Yeah.
We did love Remington Steele when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was on the air.
Yeah. We did too. We being me. And anyway.
Also Scarecrow and Mrs. King.
That's one that I didn't see. I'd heard of it a lot, but I didn't ever really watch it.
Man, that was a whole fucking subgenre. The couples who do crimes, solve crimes.
Oh, yeah.
Crime fighting.
My jam as a kid was P.S. I Love You.
Yeah, what was that?
Had Connie Selica in it. And, yeah. And someone else, I don't know. And I loved it because it was, you know, it was kind of like how Mr. and Mrs. Smith, like 2 spies pretending to be married. Only they're in on it. And there was an episode where she fell and bumped her head. And she forgot who she was.
Yes!
So she thought she was really his wife. And when I tell you that was my favorite episode of anything ever, and I loved it, and I would like rewatch that anytime it came on.
Well, that brings up some issues of consent.
Let's not talk about that.
I know why you liked it. Robin Thicke over here.
I love those I loved the ones where I liked it because I wanted them to get together and they were just pretending so they weren't, and it was like an episode where they were like together but like still for pretend. So I was like, absolutely, if this is all I get, then I'll take it.
Wait, it was a series?
Yes, P.S. I love you.
Not the film with Hillary Swank.
No, that was completely different. P.S. I love you. I love you. I was done talking about P.S. I love you. That's why I'm stopping, because you're looking it up now. So there's going to be questions or whatever.
There is?
I assume you're going to start saying something about it because you're looking it up.
She was on Greatest American Hero.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The 90s. Early 90s. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Just one thing to say. Yes, I love you. I don't remember. So, Mrs. Doubtfire. This is a...
I don't even know her.
Oh my God. Like, so... I mean, just, putting yourself in the role of Sally Field, like, she's obviously the better parent, but she's still a shitty parent because she's like, these kids need their dad in their lives, and their dad is, not okay. And I'm not saying that means that you shouldn't be around your kids or whatever, but, like, I don't think I would want...
I'm not a fan of our legal system or our, quote, justice system.
Same
but the judge, when they have their second hearing, is the only rational actor in this whole movie.
Also, I don't remember this, but, like, I think we're supposed to feel negative about it, but he's like, you need to go in for psychiatric testing. You really need to have like some consults with people. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's correct though. And I don't mean that in the sense of like, you should be like,
right.
Like, institutionalized, and that's not what I mean. But I'm like, yeah, you should be seeing.
You probably benefit from some counseling.
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, you probably should have a psychiatrist be like, so do you, like, what the fuck? And it's a Top Gun thing where it's like, you've done so many bad fuck ups. You have like literally like impersonated she's not a real person, but you've pretended to be someone else. You've dressed up. You've essentially done that to access the home of your ex-wife and your children.
Yeah, no, this should have resulted in, at the very least, a restraining order.
Right. And it's like, but you know what? It shows how much talent you have. No, what the fuck? Absolutely not. I do like what the judge says when he's like, you're pleading here and he's like, you make a beautiful case.
You've been able to fool a lot of people into believing that you're a 60-year-old woman. No easy task. And your little speech seemed to be very heartfelt and genuine. But I believe it to be a terrific performance by a very gifted actor, nothing more.
No.
After you did this for 3 months or whatever, he's like, I just think you're a good actor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh. Yeah.
Honestly, that's the most...
I know.
That scene... That little sequence is like the most rational,
right.
the most sober part of this.
I know. I'm like, what the fuck?
Only that courtroom.
Yeah,
is in anything approaching
Even the beginning,
the world I live in.
even the beginning when Robin Williams like gives his speech and the judge is like, "Bro, this isn't a final hearing. This is just the first one. This is going to give you time to prove us right or wrong." And he's like, "Okay, cool." And like, oh my god,
So many people I went to try to look up, the actors, and this is like one of their few credits.
Well, some of the people were
Like Dr. Toad.
yeah, some of the people were crew members. Like,
Okay.
Yeah. But
Honestly, I really don't know. I can only name 3 movies that I know were directed by Chris Columbus. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to think about him as a director.
yeah, that's fair. Well, the first 2 Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, I knew the first one. I didn't know he did the second one.
I mean, I think that's what it's
And Home Alone.
correct. Yeah. Even when Robin Williams, though, like his character Daniel is giving the speech of like, I need to be around my kids. I need my kids. I can't. I'm like, I don't like that. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't love your kids or want to be around your kids, but he's not saying I want to take care of my kids. Like, I want my kids to be safe and okay, and I want to, he's not saying that. It's all just like, I need to be around my kids because I love them and I don't. And I'm like, it just sounds possessive. It doesn't sound, there's no
Absolutely.
actual.
And that's kind of all the movie shows you.
Right.
I mean, I believe that he cares about them and I believe that they care about him. However, your need is, the way it's presented, the way he presents it is pathological sounding.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, right.
And also, the movie gives you 30 seconds of what their family life was like before the divorce.
Yeah. And just from that, you're like, divorce.
You should not be together.
Absolutely just cut ties, But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, but also it's like the way that they present him as Mrs. Doubtfire versus him as like being a father. It's like as a father, he doesn't care. He's doing and her argument is so valid when she's like, I tried to do something and you have to do something so much bigger that's like so disruptive to our lives that I have to come in and I have to be the bad guy. I have to look like the bad guy.
Even when I try to do something fun, you have to do it 10 times bigger. I bring home a birthday cake and a few gifts. You bring home the goddamn San Diego Zoo and I have to clean up after.
Oh, I'm sorry, but it's not toxic waste, it's a few party plates,
Why am I the only one that feels there has to be rules?
Oh,
why do you always make me out to be the heavy?
Oh, I don't make you out to be anything. You do it yourself, quite naturally,
You set
Miranda.
me up, Daniel, every time.
Oh, I
to be
don't
the
set
bad
you.
guy.
Oh, lighten up, will you?
No, but that's emotional manipulation. Like he's emotionally manipulating the kids to prefer him and to want him. And they do. And it's like, but when they go to, and this is like a thing that's like somewhat confusing when they go to like his house or like his apartment for the first time. And it's like, he just has like takeout containers strewn everywhere and his whole place is a mess and like all this shit is just everywhere and he's not doing anything. And it's just like, it'll sort itself out eventually. And like, okay, but when he's like suddenly Mrs. Doubtfire, he's being all like rules and regulations with the kids. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense because I don't think he would know how to do that. Like if he literally in his own life can't even like throw away a takeout container, he's not going to suddenly be like,
I know.
Hey, it's time to do homework.
Well, and I feel like so much is sort of...
I suddenly know how to be a parent because I'm pretending to be a woman. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, right. It's also that, like, I think the implication is meant to be, it's supposed to be carried on the back of this idea that he's an actor. Mm-hmm. And so he's just throwing himself into the role. I mean, that's not made explicit, really.
Right, it's not, I mean, like, that's what they do in Tootsie, which makes more sense because that's what he says. He's like,
it feels like it's kind of quoting that almost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But not really doing it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
And, there's also so many trivia things that say, like, how Robin Williams, like, went to adult...
Go in full makeup. Yeah, went and bought dildos and whatnot.
Like, okay, I get it. Like...
Yeah. Again, so many times during this movie also, I was like, it's San Francisco. No one's weirded out. Okay, we're going to take a break real quick. Be right back.
Also, man, I think the scene that's like the most upsetting, because this is why it's upsetting, not because like it doesn't matter who they're pretending to be. If you found out that someone in your life was actually your husband or ex-husband in makeup, you have every right to be upset. It doesn't matter who they're pretending to be. There's nothing wrong with being upset. Her reaction is fine. She's not like, you had a penis? You know, she's not saying that. She's just like, it was you? Like, you're pretending? You know, she's just like so upset about it. Totally valid. Nothing wrong with that. But when the kids find out, oh man, because...
And
they're
I love
like,
that it happens around a bathroom.
Yeah, I know, yeah. But they're like, call the cops because Mrs. Doubtfire has a penis.
Is a he-she.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, let's say, I mean, I guess that's transpanic, but
Yep.
But I'm like, is this, oh, I guess it was illegal. Never mind. Yeah. If you're pretending, you know.
Once again, I'll say it is San Francisco.
Right. That's what I mean. I know it's not New York, but
which also has a lot.
Right.
You know,
it's so weird to me.
Know, man.
I do I do kind of, I mean, I know it's like supposed to be more comedic, but I think it actually ages well. The bus driver who is just like, it's supposed to seem gross and stuff, but he's just being so nice to her. And
he's not really lecherous.
No.
I mean, kind of, but like.
He's just saying like, it's cold out, like make sure you're, you know, you can't, and you know, like he's just being a, you know, I don't know.
I hate to admit it, but I thought it's kind of funny.
I like that Mediterranean-looking women. Natural, healthy, just the way God made you.
And I'm like, I love that because if you...
You know what it is? It's the last scene in Some Like It Hot. Nobody's perfect.
Oh, yeah. Right. It's like the thing of like, he's not actually saying... And he doesn't say, I like my women, you know, all natural. He kind of says, all natural, just how God made you. Yeah. Which implies that, you know, he I don't know. It doesn't imply that in 1993. But now you could see like, oh, yeah, he doesn't care how you are. You know, like however God made you means you can have a penis or whatever. It doesn't matter. He likes...
Tu Wong Fu. Or maybe it's Priscilla. I think it's well, I mean, yes.
What?
Tu Wong Fu, but I believe it's I can't remember. I think in one of the arcs in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert is that.
Are you talking about the Adam's apple?
Adam's apple?
Adam's apple?
No, but good guess because she sounds Australian. Adam's apple? Adam's apple? Adam's apple. I'd like to have a friend with an Adam's apple. No, don't they pick up a guy who's like loves drag shows and then he's kind of starts having a relationship with one of them?
Oh, maybe. I don't remember. It's been so long since I've seen Priscilla. It's probably been like almost 10 years since I've seen Priscilla because I saw it at the theater when I worked.
Coming June 2023.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's just so fucking definitely like...
I said this at the beginning too, like if a movie's set in San Francisco, I get suspicious.
You did say that. Like...
It works for Pacific Heights.
Oh, hell yeah, it does.
And it works for... Or it doesn't work. It's believable-ish in Electric Dreams.
Totally, yeah. It works in Pacific Heights, though, because they're like, this is insane. Like, it's so much money. Right. Like, we're never going to be able to do this. And half of the movie is them being stressed about how much money they're losing the whole time.
Yeah.
Which makes it believably stressful. Because you're like, yeah, same.
I liked it.
And I don't live in San Francisco.
Right, and that was before the tech boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking A. But, like, this is one where it's like, there's no reason why it's set in San Francisco.
Well, the reason why it was set in San Francisco was because it was supposed to be set in Chicago, and Chris Columbus, I swear to God.
Discovered San Francisco.
Yes. He decided that he wanted a change of scenery and like
why would
ended
you
up
keep that
moving.
name? Anyway.
If you're white, why wouldn't you? You're like, I'll make it my own.
All right, cool.
I'll make it my own.
Imagine being named 80 Hitler. You know? And you're like, yeah, that's chill.
Imagine having the last name Raper and keeping it.
Right. Who are we talking about?
I don't know. It's just like, that was when I worked at the bank, we would get alerts for like Raper has has fraud on their card or whatever. And I'm like,
Jesus Christ.
Who's stealing your
You may
identity?
want to let's just retire that. For a minute.
Who's stealing your identity out there?
Yeah.
Who's like, you know what? I'm going to use this card.
Somehow, I was just doing credit card fraud, and somehow I ended up on the sex offender registry. Womp womp.
My favorite story is still the person that called into the bank and wanted us
Welcome to banking stories.
wanted us to look into.
Oh yeah.
Basically, they were like, I went away for the weekend and my husband spent like $2,000 fucking dollars on our debit card. And they were like, I want to know. They're like, I know it's porn. I just want to know like what kind of, I don't know. They were, and it was like skins. It was like skins.com. And I was like, I'm going to look this shit up. So I Googled it and I was like, this is so much worse than porn. It was literally gaming skins. He spent $2,000 fucking dollars on gaming skins. And I was like, oh, honey. But yeah, that was probably, I was like, that's so much worse than.
If it had been porn.
Yeah.
1,000% worse.
Oh my God. $2,000? Or maybe, yeah.
So I briefly worked at
money.
a liquor emporium.
Damn, girl.
And so many dudes would come in and like do two separate transactions. And one would be in, it'd be like on a card and the other would be cash.
Yeah.
And it's just his 12-pack to keep in the garage.
Oh my God.
That he didn't want the wife to know about.
Oh my God. Like,
yeah, I learned a lot about humanity from that.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to.
Yeah. Oh my God. I saw a TikTok from someone that was talking about how, I don't know, they were just saying how like their wife's friend or whatever was talking about how much they don't like foreplay. And the wife was like, what? You don't like foreplay? And she's like, no, it's not really enjoyable. She's like, it's not enjoyable. She's like, yeah, I'm just bored. And she's like, I'm sorry. What do you think foreplay is? She's like, explain it to me. And the husband was like, when she explained.
Winston's idea of foreplay was, Effie, brace yourself.
She was like, yeah, that wouldn't be nice. And like, she was like, do you ever tell them? He said that she started asking like all her like straight friends.
Wait,
like,
I'm confused about who's
the
talking.
guy's wife. I don't know. I don't know who it is. The guy's wife was the guy's wife's friend was saying she didn't like foreplay. And the guy's wife asked her why. And so she explained what their foreplay was. And the wife was like, yeah, that sounds horrible. So the wife started asking all her straight friends, like, what, like about their like foreplay and like how they have sex and like, you know, and it wasn't good. He was like, it was like, my wife was like, oh God. And so he said that they sort of decided, and this is where I was like, no, I'm out. He said, we decided to
have all friends come watch us have sex.
He's like, we decided to try all the horrible things that they do for foreplay and see how it turns out. And I was like,
why would that be?
He's like, so we're going to have a night of bad sex. And I'm like,
man, that is sounds like such a straight white person thing to do.
I was like, I was with you. Like, brag about having, like, I'm like, what the fuck?
follow our journey on Instagram.
Literally, he was like, "Oh, so stay tuned. We'll let you know how it goes." I was like, "That's okay. I'll just keep scrolling." Like, white people, why?
I'd rather watch the Christian couple that can't wait to get married to have sex for the first time and then watch their inevitable disappointment.
I swear, I know that I've told you about the fucking documentary on like virginity or whatever that I watched about like saving yourself for marriage. And there was this couple and they were like saving themselves for marriage and they were both so excited. And then after the fact, they got interviewed and the look on her face was like, and they were like, "How do you feel?" And he was like, "It was great." And she was like, and she was like, I was like, "That's not disappointment. That is, you're thinking about leaving your religion face. Like, you're like, I waited for what?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Did you even have that? Like, what happened?" It was like, I was like, I've had that face before and something very bad happened to me when I had that face. I was like, "Oh, Lord."
Yeah.
Don't wait. Just do what I do. Immediately have sex with someone and then decide if they're worth dating. And then your body will tell you. If they call and you feel sick to your stomach in a bad way, you probably don't want to date them. If they text you and
Ladies,
you're
has this happened to you? I like that. I mean, I guess this is how you know the system works. Is that once he's put on his 90-day probation or whatever, his 90-day divorcee, he gets 2 jobs, including being Mrs. Doubtfire, learns to cook. What else?
and learns
Starts
to
cleaning his shit,
Yeah.
wiping his ass.
Well, we don't know that. He's at least cleaning out the Mrs. Doubtfire costume.
Except they keep making jokes about how she smells.
I know, yeah.
Like bug spray.
I know.
Well, that's what the kid said once, but then she's like, he's putting perfume all over.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, you were saying about,
I don't.
was this worth the wait?
Oh, 100%. It was worth waiting some more.
Yeah. It's so, oh my God, another of the trivia. Sorry, another of the trivia because it has the mailman at the end and he comes. And Mr. Sprinkles. And the mailman comes and he calls her Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes.
And they're like, this could possibly be a reference to the fact that he's a mailman and could have been delivering a flyer.
That's good trivia.
So I like how that's trivia, but also is like, you tell me.
Yeah. Choose your own adventure.
So how can it be?
What? Yeah, the casting is so strange, and like some of the characters, you're like, why are you even having a character?
I agree. The neighbor that calls Miranda in the beginning was supposed to have a much larger role, and she and Mrs. Doubtfire were supposed to be like rivals or whatever.
Oh, I thought that meant scissoring.
And
Martin Mull. Why is Martin Mull in this movie?
Oh my God, right? Well, I mean, I guess the movie was supposed to be a lot different, or a lot like have a lot more, different things, but they had to cut down because of Robin Williams' antics.
William Newman is who plays Mr. Sprinkles.
Yeah.
We know him and love him as the sheriff in Leprechaun.
I know. I know we do.
The neighbor?
No. Oh, yeah. Chris Columbus said that he often said doing this movie was like doing a documentary because he never knew what Robin Williams was going to do, and he was basically just going off of Robin Williams' cuff. And he said editing this film was like editing a documentary because so much. And they had to
I saw another reference. They shot it like a documentary. Sometimes that's because
he said. Yeah, that he would set up like multiple cameras.
Yeah, to get
reactions.
reactions.
He didn't know what Robin Williams was going to do. So yeah,
that sounds horrible.
Yeah, right.
But also, I feel like by this point in his career, Robin Williams was used to doing films.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And shouldn't be surprised, or like, if he needed such special treatment, I'm sure he would have been like, "Can we do it this way?"
Yeah.
Rather than it, I don't know. Just all these things make it sound like
this was the first time anyone had ever seen Robin Williams.
Well, and that it's like, everybody get out of his way.
Yeah. I will say this was kind of no one knew that he was going to do, like, when his teeth fall out into the, no one knew he was going to do that. So everyone's reactions were genuine. Because
I will say, I do love especially at the beginning of the restaurant sequence, that it looks, every shot that has both Brosnan and Williams together, Pierce Brosnan looks like he's trying not to crack.
Oh, for sure.
I love anytime anybody does this now, I'm like, you're trying to hide your mouth, like somebody when they touch their
yeah.
doing like kind of like a shush. But
apparently, like Robin Williams was specifically trying to get
him to
Brosnan.
crack.
Yeah, like during the scene where he was like choking, he was like saying all kinds of shit to him to try to get him to crack. I'm like, that's so fucking mean.
I love how the Heimlich thing is shot, so you can tell that it's never both of them.
Right, yeah.
Also, you want to talk about how...
You want to talk about
how he's allergic to pepper. Mm-hmm. First of all, he orders jambalaya.
Mm-hmm. Which comes as shrimp
with
and
no
rice.
Pepper.
Yeah, with no pepper, which comes as like shrimp and rice, which I'm like, I understand, but no. I mean...
Also, Bridges is a real restaurant, apparently.
Yeah.
But it's in Danville, which is...
Oh, shit.
Quite a bit of ways.
Here?
It's on the other side. No.
I'm just kidding.
Not Danville, Illinois.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Home of the Saints Row,
Oh,
It's not the home of, but
yeah,
they have a car called the Danville in the
noise. Yeah.
Anyway,
there's a lot of references to Wait, what did you say?
I said lots of things.
The
Saints Row?
Saints Row, yeah. There's a lot of references to here in Saints Row. You'll be surprised to find out.
Yeah, it seems like they get fewer as the franchise progresses. Anyway, now Danville's like California is like on the inside of the bay. Anyway, yeah, totally lost it. Oh, pepper.
Yeah, pepper. We don't have
and then
any
he starts
pepper.
Choking.
Yeah, and then,
but just because he's choking on a shrimp, it's not related to the pepper at all.
But he's like, sorry about the pepper, is what he says at the end.
Right.
After he's like, I'm like, what?
Right.
I'm like, all of that could have been done
without the pepper.
Yeah, without the
you just have
fucking
him
pepper.
choke.
Yeah. There's no reason for any of that.
Yeah. Except to show his ill will, his ill intent.
Yeah. Which doesn't bode well for him. Yeah. I like that they made, like, I enjoyed that they made Pierce Brosnan, like, a good, like, his character, like, nice and giving a shit about the kids and stuff like that. And I enjoy that because it's like, it would, wasn't originally supposed to be that way. And I think it would have taken away so much because you're seeing him try to sabotage just out of jealousy and spite. And I think, if they were trying to, like, he would still be doing that, but you would excuse it because his character sucked.
Right. But yeah, it makes Daniel a lot less sympathetic as a character.
But there's so much about Daniel that's not sympathetic, and mostly everything about him.
Correct.
And
I do love how he dresses for court.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
No, I would not recommend.
I would, in this, not for anyone who's trans, but I would recommend for like viewing for like a class on like queer history or something, you know, like this is how like, you know, gender has been portrayed, like a gender sort of studies thing. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it as a fun time movie. It's also really traumatic. Imagine like being in an abusive relationship or whatever, where like your partner was super controlling, and then someone's like, "Oh, I loved this movie as a kid. Let's watch it." And you're watching it, and you're just like, "This is really fucked up. This isn't fun and cutesy. This is like a person that's like literally like in a disguise. Like this is a horror movie.
Yeah, right.
Set up as a comedy. This is a horror film. If this film were made in 1978, there would be no comedy to it. It would be a horror movie. It would be Texas Chainsaw 2, the Mrs. Doubtfiring.
It's funny because they keep making Chainsaw Massacre movies.
I know.
That's funny.
That's hilarious.
Avai Shanmugi is a 1996 Indian Tamil language film inspired by Mrs. Doubtfire. Catchy 420, the 1997 Indian Hindi language remake of Avai Shanmugi. Mm-hmm. And then 2000, there's a Sri Lankan Sinhala language remake called Kaudabol Alice. So they love this in South Asia.
I guess they do. Yeah, it's like I didn't realize until I rewatched it. I know I keep saying I rewatched it. How like absolutely fucked up it is. I mean, because I was thinking of it fucked up in the sense of like, oh yeah, gender, stuff. It's gonna be fucked up, but like,
which it is
for sure, and there's no dispute about that. But like watching how absolutely monstrous he is as a person, and like how manipulative and like he lies and like all this shit. I'm like, so you're just lying and manipulating and like weaseling your way into shit, and then in the end you're the good guy? Like, oh my god. Terrifying. Anyway, happy Father's Day.
It's actually surprising that they don't make them get back together, and it's surprising they don't make Brosnan more of an asshole. Those, I think, are the defendable things about the movie. It almost makes it one of those where it's like, okay, is this actually like...
Right. What are you trying to do
Are you
here?
secretly saying that...
Right.
I don't understand why this movie was so popular.
Yeah, I know.
It's also on AFI's like top 100 funniest movies or something like that. It's not funny.
It's
just even... Robin Williams is funny by just being himself.
Yeah.
That's, I feel like, pretty accepted.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't,
if
you don't think he's funny, you don't think he's funny. But like,
Robin Williams has the capacity to be funny.
Yeah.
Which is a true fact.
I mean, one thing that one of my issues with him is that when he's riffing and improvising, he always goes to like something almost racist or like,
yeah.
He ends up like he does it. Somebody calls him Gandhi or something.
Yeah, and then he does a Gandhi voice. And at the end, when he's like, "Do you know what language they speak in England?" and the Kovacs says, Pakistani. And he's like, oh, they do speak that in a lot of stores or whatever. And I'm like, what
Oh,
the
he's
fuck?
like, you could fly to Persia on that rug.
Yeah. So many of those is like, it's like, what are you doing? I mean, it's
He does a Nixon joke when he's cooking the lobsters.
Oh, yeah.
What?
The fucking kids love that shit. It feels like one of
Only
those
90 kids will.
only 90s kids' parents will. But that's what it feels like. It feels like a movie that is supposed to be something that kids can watch that's for parents. Like for,
I guess.
because all the jokes are like, it's just like, we're talking about divorce, which is a very 90s topic, and we're talking about, family, whatever.
Yeah, I know. It's
Also, like, this is an example of someone who's expected to do absolutely nothing. And the way that they portray, sorry, I'm like, remind me about the Dances of Wolves.
Okay.
Dances of Wolves. Either way. The way that Sally Field's character is presented is so bitchy.
Yeah.
But, like, she's not fucking wrong.
No, and she says there's multiple times where she's like, I got to the point of not liking who I was around him.
Yeah.
And especially after you see the opening sequence
Yes.
where she's like, I always have to clean up after you because you have the need to escalate everything.
Right.
Because that's what you think you need to do to get the kids' love.
Yeah.
And that proves to be true throughout the rest of the film.
Literally, that's what the whole movie, and like the fact that
It's the whole premise of the movie.
and he's just like, and he's shown to be so immature because he's just like, it does portray. I mean, I take issue a little bit with like people's like work life being like a sign of their maturity because I think that like that's a classist concept. That's a really classist concept of like, if you have a job, then you're responsible. If you don't, then you're irresponsible, because there's lots of reasons why someone might not be able to have a job, hold down a job, etc. A lot of it has to do with mental illness or physical disability, things like
it's
that.
also ableist,
Correct. So like, that's not an argument that I like, but he turns around on her. He's like, you're so corporate and you used to not be that way. And she's like, what? And like, it's a thing where it's like, it's very clear that he's been able to have like,
have it both ways.
Yeah. Like have his own like opportunities or like do whatever he wants. And she is the breadwinner of the family. She's the person that's, and then he's like, you used to be fun. You used to be cool. And it's like, it's that thing of like, you would be resentful. You would after a while if your partner is like, I'm not going to do shit, or like, and I'm going to be the fun person. I'm going to be the person that doesn't have any tethers. I don't have any sort of like, like nothing's holding me here. Nothing's keeping me here. Nothing, is keeping me grounded so I can have more fun. I can do more fun. I can, I don't have a 9-to-5 job, so I can, like take the kids out of school early and do something fun with them or whatever. And then you have to be the parent that's like, okay, I get to come home, I get to work all day, come home, clean up your mess, and then be less fun because I'm not the one that's doing all this. Like that's so, and it is like a manipulation tactic. And it's a thing of like, you could just be happy for me because I'm having fun with the kids. And it's like, that's not how that works, And
well, I like the scene when she's first talking to Euphigenia.
Yeah.
About their relationship.
It was Daniel's spontaneity and his energy I fell in love with.
Really?
Everyone else I knew was so organized, so scheduled. Like me, I guess. Daniel was so wonderfully different and funny. He could always make me laugh.
I always say the key to a solid marriage is laughter.
But after a few years, everything just stopped being funny.
It stopped being funny.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like,
and that really rings true. You imagine that dynamic. It's.
And I think it's like there are times when like there's a difference between like people be like, oh, well, that's who you married, or like that's the kind of person you married. But I think there's a difference when like if you're in an actual partnership with someone, like they can be fun and spontaneous. They can have all these things. But if they're like, that's all I'm ever going to be, and I'm never going to take responsibility, I'm never going to take ownership, and I'm always just the fun one, it is going to stop being fun. Like, you can be fun and spontaneous and still say, hey, we need to think before we act. Like, it's not a dichotomy. It's not a one or the other. It's not a binary. It's not like you can either have one or the other. And it seems like she was like, it was fun, and then they had kids, and then she had to grow up, and he refused to. But then they show that, like, through becoming Mrs. Doubtfire and all that stuff, he started to grow up. And I'm like, this is so shitty.
Yeah.
Because the implication is that if he had just acted responsibly, if he had just been responsible and actually like done these kinds of things while they were married, they might never have separated. They might never have been in this stress. So it's like, yeah, they shouldn't be together.
Correct.
If he has no ability to take care of himself, unless it's something where he has no choice, then he shouldn't be in a relationship like that. If he's going to refuse to take responsibility for anything, and he's a horrible person. So, yeah. But the dances with, when he says the thing about dances with wolves, he's like, oh, it's a nice little motif you have.
Oh,
dances
yes.
with wolves. He's like, what's your Indian name? Like, whatever. Apparently, they had to get like, because his riffs would go like that, they had to like keep a tally of all the times he mentioned like other works and other films, because they had to get like the legal rights for him to be able to say that in the film. I was like, what the fuck? So like they had to like be really careful about some stuff, because his riffs would bring in things from popular culture that they would end up having to like get the rights for in order to be able to.
I'm glad they cleared that one.
I know,
Worth
right?
it.
I know. It's so terrible. Right. Like all of his like lines in this movie like go to some like really horrible like racist place, or maybe not horrible, but because not all racism is horrible. I'm just kidding. I just mean like it's not like, saying like.
No, that's the thing. It's all very superficial because it's so quick fire and it's all referential. And I mean.
And but it's one of those things.
It's not always funny. But.
Correct. But it's one of those things where if it's on the tip of your tongue, it's because you do it enough that it's easily accessible in your brain.
Yeah.
So if you're doing this stuff and you're like, oh, I just thought of this thing, it's because you don't filter yourself with that shit. And it's like, that's not funny. It's not funny to like refuse to filter yourself. It's not funny. And I don't mean filter yourself as in like, don't say anything that could possibly be offensive. I mean like, don't say racist shit. Like you could try that. We should watch Patch Adams.
I hadn't thought of it. If we do open that can of worm though, we're gonna have to. We could just do a whole. This could be a theme where he plays his run of movies where he's playing characters based on real people.
Yeah.
Good Morning Vietnam, Awakenings.
Yeah.
Jack. Great Assault.